Okay guys, this is your very first TYL Test Your Learning activity out of many in this class. So let's quickly look at some of the tricks for doing them. You will see a slide that is going to look like this. For most of these, notice how it's a matching idea here, right? So do not write down the questions. This is your first tip that is really important because this will go way too fast for you to do that, and it would be a total waste of your time because we post the slides by 4:45 each Tuesday. So instead, quickly jot down your answers only and use a shorthand to do this. So as an example, this box that you see here on this slide is the answer box for your first TYL coming up on this next slide. Okay, if you look down very quickly, you can see there are two C's. So instead of writing out the answers, you would just write CA for case study, O for observational study, D for descriptive study, CO for correlational study, and E for experiment. There will not be time for you to write down the entire word, so be sure to use shorthand. The important thing is that you will be able to write the answers on the back of the slide after they are posted and you print them so that you can study them before your first proctored exam. Usually at least 2 random items from each TYL slide will be on the next exam, word for word. So these are awesome study tools and already put into question and answer format for you for active testing. So here it is, your first TYL challenge in this class, and it is a 2-minute challenge. See how many that you can answer correctly in 2 minutes. Go. Okay, time is up. So let's quickly go over the answers here. And let me tell you something. This is called scaffolded learning. And in theory, I'm not supposed to tell you the answers. If you didn't know them, you're supposed to go back and look them up in your readings. But I am going to always tell you the answers, but they're going to go really fast. And if you miss anything, writing down or correcting just the ones that you got wrong using your shorthand, Always there will be a recording of your class available by noon the next day. So number 1 is O for observational study. Number 2, CO for correlational study. Number 3, CA for case study. Number 4, D for descriptive study. And number 5 is E, experiment. So let's briefly take a look at each of these kinds of studies. Just a quick, brief review. The case for the case study. So we're looking at the case study first, and we will use this kind of study to study something that is infrequent or unusual. In other words, when it is not feasible to find a population size large enough for other kinds of research. Case studies often get a bad rap because they are not generalizable, but they can still be very useful. For instance, say I wanted to study a rare disorder and can only find 3 students with it here at ASU. To do a case study, I would take who I can get, but study them in depth in every way possible. That is the answer to the how question on your slide, right? Study them in depth in every way possible. So I will interview them, and if they agree to it, do much more, like test them, observe them at work and campus, interview their family, etc. When I finally write up my results, I'll be honest and say I only had 3 participants. So these findings may not represent most individuals who have this disorder. In other words, they may not be generalizable. But my published study could motivate many researchers at other universities to look for their own case to study. And once we get enough case studies published, we can combine them into something called a meta-analysis, META-ANALYSIS. For a meta-analysis, we analyze all the data together into one study for results that are much more generalizable. We use observational studies when we want to study observable behavior. With humans, you might say public behavior. So what better way to begin studying something you can see than to directly observe it? For instance, I may want to investigate the behavior of kids, and so go watch them on the playground during recess. Now, the tricky part here is not intervening. In other words, not changing their behavior by being there. Kids may be on their very best or worst behavior because of the presence of an adult. So there is an art to this. A hidden video camera would be a much better way to observe the kids on the playground. Just like someone posing as a new member would do better at observing a terrorist group.